G'day crew. If you saw last week's video, you might have noticed that I have a new engine on my boat. Yes, the Yamaha 150 is gone and I have replaced it with a Suzuki 175. There wasn't anything wrong with the Yamaha, it still had a lot of life left in it. I just wasn't sure that it had another 15 years left. And all things going well, I hope that I have another 15 years of fishing left in me. If I'm lucky, I may get a bit more, if not, a bit less. But I'm pretty sure this will be the last boat I ever own, so I thought it was a good time now to set it up to see me through to the end. This video covers the water test after the engine was installed, and also a bit of an interview I did with Rod from AMC, where I try to delve into a few of the questions that you should ask when you're selecting an engine brand. I hope you find something useful in it, particularly if you're considering re-engineing your boat. This is the on-water test after the engine was installed. It's important to ensure that the engine is mounted correctly, it's at the right height, and the propeller is sized correctly for the boat and engine combination. And when I say that the propeller is sized correctly, all engines are designed for a maximum RPM. And part of the propeller selection is to check that the engine reaches close to that maximum RPM at wide open throttle without exceeding it. The other thing to check, and it's very important, and that is that the engine is mounted at the correct height such that the propeller is deep enough that it doesn't cavitate. Perhaps deep enough isn't the right word, but at the correct depth so that the propeller doesn't cavitate. You don't want the propeller to be so deep that it creates extra drag by being too deep. You just want to find that sweet spot. Performing a few turns at high speed is a good way to test for cavitation. If it's going to cavitate, it will cavitate under those conditions. But if you do decide to try that for yourself, don't get so enthusiastic that you end up rolling your boat over. And really, that's all there is to it. The water test is fairly simple and doesn't take all that long. Suzuki talks a lot about torque delivery in mid-range. I understand this has to do with the offset of the drive shafts and the two-stage gear reduction, which also allows the centre of mass of the engine to be positioned further forward than with other brands. Can you elaborate a bit on these features?
Yeah, basically with the offset drive shaft, Paul, it's unique to Suzuki, so they basically move that power head more forward.
Yep.
So there's less weight hanging off the bum.
Yep.
But motors have changed a lot in the days where that obviously two strokes are gone now.
Yeah.
But they try and move that weight more forward so the boat planes better and just the performance side of things. So that's the way that Suzuki run their drive shaft. So everything is just pushed more forward in the boat. Yeah.
Anything to get the centre of gravity further forward would have to help.
Yep.
And one of their biggest selling points is their lean burn technology. Can you explain a little bit about how that works and when users will notice the biggest benefit from it?
Yep. So it's all about obviously a constant speed. So if you're on and off the throttle all the time, it's not going to work so well. But they have a computer system in the engine. If you're running maybe from point A to point B, it leans off as much as it can to get maximum benefit in the fuel economy for the user. The minute you touch the throttle again, it sort of resets itself. But if you're running from here to there or up the river at say 3,000 revs or offshore to your favourite mark, it will basically lean the engine off and get maximum benefit for fuel economy.
Okay, well, that makes a lot of sense to me because flying an aircraft, you lean the engine out once you're in cruise mode. Yeah. Okay.
They're all pretty advanced these days with the computers. They can only go a certain way, otherwise they'll go bang. But it works very well. The fuel economy is excellent.
Oh, excellent. Does lean burn change how the engine behaves at all, or is it all completely transparent?
You won't notice anything. Yeah. The only thing you'll notice is if you look at your gauge these days, they're quite advanced.
Yep.
And just with that, sometimes people don't understand if they play with that trim button. All the people don't know what the trim button is, Yep.
So
getting that optimum trim where the boat's not pushing like a displacement hull, get that nose, the bow out of the water.
Yep.
So you're riding on that, mid to, maybe just a prop in the water as such, but that's
Yep.
when you're going to be going real fast. But it's all about getting that trim position right, and you can actually, sometimes you go a little bit quicker, maybe another 100 revs or 200 revs, and you'll get better economy. But
Yep.
that's what the gauge will tell you. So if you're really after that optimum economy, you can really play with the performance of the boat with the trim and the speed. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. But you won't notice it with the lean burn. It'll basically do its thing internally.
Yep. Everyone understands that outboards improve with each model, but with years of experience in the service side of it, how do you find the long-term durability of the DF175
Yeah,
series?
they're really good. There's a lot of guys commercially that use them. It's all about maintenance, obviously maintain the engine like any brand, whether
Yeah.
it's this brand or that brand or that brand, but service it as per the manufacturer's guidelines, use genuine parts, genuine oils, and they'll last forever.
Yeah, I find that with pretty much everything.
Not forever, but
Yeah, well,
many thousands of hours.
I've had Yamahas, Mercury's, and now Suzuki.
Yeah.
They've all been good.
Yeah, that's why people come. We sell two different brands, and I've sold other brands as well. And people come, what's the best motor? Well, they're all good. It's just some have got more features than others, some are cheaper than others, and some have got bigger quantities. But they're all good.
Yeah, these days they are. Yeah,
That's right.
It used to be a bit different, I thought. But
Yeah.
From a maintenance point of view, has Suzuki made any changes over the years to make the DF175 easier or cheaper to own?
No, I guess they're always trying to maintain, cost for the consumer, but they've all got the same sort of stuff. You've got oils and filters to replace. You've got spark plugs over time. The spark plugs don't have to be replaced all the time. Like the old days, they might come up with 2 strokes, but these days they last for generally more than the service schedules.
Oh, right.
It depends on the style of boating you do too. Like if you're in really sandy, dirty water, you might have to do the water pump area more often than someone that does clear, open runs out, out to the shelf. But it's all pretty similar with all the brands. Yeah.
Okay. Are there any service items that owners are surprised by, either good or bad?
Not really. Yeah, we actually, when we service engines, we give the owner the parts back. They can either take them with them, I don't know why, but throw them in the bin, but we show what was replaced.
Yeah.
Anodes will corrode out over time. Not going to hit anything there, no, that's good.
Oh, no, we're good.
They'll corrode out over time and need to be replaced. Suzuki's, we check every couple of 100 hours, we check the valve clearances, and shims and stuff need to be done as well.
Yep.
But it's all, some motors are obviously a little bit different than others, but there's nothing out of the ordinary that is scary.
Right. Oh, that's good.
It's good, yes.
How do you think this Suzuki compares with other similar brands of a similar horsepower in terms of vibration and noise levels?
Yeah, very, very, let me just go back a little bit. Very, very smooth, so quiet engine, efficient, smooth, performance-wise. They're a 2.9 litre 4-cylinder, so they are quite a big block. Mercury obviously have a V6, which is slightly different. Yamaha capacity is very similar to what the Suzuki is, but it's 175, so 175 is 175. But again, they're all slightly different on their features. But just a very efficient engine. A lot of power, good power for this boat. You've gone up 25 horsepower now, so I think just in that test we did, you noticed a bit of a difference there.
Yeah, I did. And
I think the fuel economy should be better than what you had before as well. Definitely.
Yeah. Looking forward to that.
Yeah. Longer time on the water. Less out of pocket.
Just sitting here listening to it, the telltale's making nearly as much noise as the engine.
That's all you can hear. Yeah, they're very, very quiet. So you'll probably be there at one point going, is that engine actually going? And it's just the telltale. It's, dripping into the water.
Now, most modern outboards, at least in the larger models, have a computer which provides quite a bit of information to maintenance personnel if they've got the right equipment to read it. What diagnostic and monitoring features does this engine have that owners should know about? Anything at all?
There is something that other brands don't have, and there's an SDS app that you can download. And if for some reason you do get an alarm that comes on, the engine alarms due to whatever it might be, you can actually go to a QR code on the SMG4 gauge, take a screenshot and text that off to a technician, and they can actually put that into their system, into their diagnostics, and sort of say, Paul, we've got a problem, or Paul, it's all right, we'll see you at the service. If something's with any engine, if something's really, really critical, it will basically turn itself off and it'll go into limp mode.
All right.
Very rare it happens these days with engines, but if something is, engine oil level disappears for some reason, or if it gets hot with a bag or weed, it will tell you. It'll alarm itself. But if it's very critical, it'll pretty much just shut itself down, go into limp mode before it decides to detonate.
Right. So limp mode just lets you get home, I take
Pretty
it.
much, yeah.
Yep.
Reduces the revs so you can't work the engine too hard. But if it's really bad, it'll shut itself down. You won't be able to start it. And you'll have to call a friend. But it is rare that would happen these days. Normally, it's just lack of maintenance, bad fuel, battery dies. That's the main.
I'm surprised at the number of people that actually do have lack of maintenance problems.
Yeah. There's a few out there.
Yeah, it's not that hard to do, really, is it?
Yeah. One other thing, actually, that I forgot to mention before is Suzuki's. They run a chain, not a belt.
Yeah, for the timing.
For the timing, correct. So there's no maintenance on it. It's maintenance free.
Oh yeah, good.
And there's little chance that anything's going to come off, like some of the other brands. If the belt is worn, not replaced, not maintained.
Yeah.
It has in the past, but many different people, the belts come off and they're pretty much been stranded.
Yeah, I remember. I did read somewhere in the manual that every so many hours in the Yamaha the belt has to be replaced.
I think it's every 800,000, something like that.
800, 1,000 rings
which is
of
a
belt,
lot.
yeah.
A lot of people won't even do that in their lifetime. But yeah.
And what feedback do you hear most often from owners that have put some really serious hours onto their Suzukis, particularly this model?
Yeah, I guess we haven't had too many people that would get to serious hours of like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. A lot of the commercial guys, if they've had a good run with whatever brand it is, they'll replace it with the same brand.
Yeah.
With the same horsepower or similar. But I've got guys that do 200 and 300 hours, and there's no problems at all. It's just bring it in for their yearly or 100-hour service, and they just keep going. But very very reliable compared to the old days.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
If someone's cross-shopping different brands for somewhere around the 175 horsepower outboard, what technical differences should they care about?
So I guess the lean burn technology, the offset drive shaft, 3+ 3 year warranty, they're all very good selling features compared to some of the competition brand. They're quite affordable compared to the others, and reliability, Japanese made. People look for all those things. Yeah. And it's like if you want a Toyota Land Cruiser, that's all you're going to buy. But we're finding a lot more people that might have brand A are looking around now. They're going, what else is out there? All the rescue services, they all use different brands, I guess. Some use Suzuki, some use Yami, some use Merc. But like we said, they're all good engines. It's just, I guess, the selling features with the Suzuki is reliability, your lean burn technology, your 3+ 3 year warranty, your offset drive shaft, all those sorts of things certainly make a difference.
The other thing that made the decision easier for me was the integration with the Farino.
Correct. That's one of the main reasons you did it. Yeah. And we've just had a bit of a play with that, and it works quite well.
So, it does. It's lovely.
Yeah. You've obviously got the Minn Coda there, which a lot of people are doing these days, but you've got your point lock, so you can just basically press a button and the engine will hold itself there. So Yamaha has Helmmaster. It's quite an expensive system to set up.
Oh, isn't it?
And I have been in that system. But I find it's just really, it sounds to me like the gearbox is going to blow up. It's in and out of gear, whereas this was very smooth, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very smooth,
Yeah. So that's a good thing.
Now, this is a Klik one. All outboards that have been used in salt water need to be flushed. But I've heard all sorts of stories about this. Some say it's better to run the engine in a barrel of fresh water. Some say it's okay to use the muffs, and other people say the muffs are no good for an engine above 150 horsepower. And still others say the flush port is all you need to use. So is there an official recommendation regarding how to flush and how long to flush?
You really could debate about this forever and a day, couldn't you? I think if you
they do on Facebook.
They do, yes. I was going to say, if you put it on Facebook, there'd be this expert and that expert. And look, I know the Yamaha dealers say that just to use the silent flush port.
Yep.
Any flush is a good flush.
Yep.
We believe that starting the engine, whether it be in a bucket or a bag or on the muffs, is the best way.
Right.
It gets hot, the thermostat opens. We just find that it gives it a better flush.
Right.
There's certain people that obviously can't the boat might be on a mooring or a jetty or whatever. So flushing it with the solid flush port, no problem. But we just find that that's the best way. That's the way we've been, taught, and that's what we preach.
Okay, so I joined the Redland Boat Club mainly because they got a washdown facility and a flush facility right there, and the hose is a big hose with a lot of flow, so using muffs on a 175 probably okay in those circumstances?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, any flush is a good flush. You don't need to flush it for 15-20 minutes. If you drink beer, I say 1 or 2 beers, depending on how thirsty you are. 3 to 5 minutes is what you need.
Yeah, well, they only give you 7 minutes on the hose, and then they cut it off. So
yeah, you don't need any longer than that, Paul. That's for sure.
Okay, that's good.
But it all just comes back to having the right seal, the right water pressure for your muffs, or in a bag or a bucket is ideal.
Yeah.
But a lot of people can't do that. So
as long as the telltale's working, it's fine there.
Yeah, as long as you get that salt water out. So yeah.
Now, the other thing I've heard is that some Suzuki engines at least have a filter on the cooling water that collects microplastics out of the water. That sounds like a neat feature, but cleaning the environment while you're out enjoying yourselves, but does this model have it?
No, it's the 140 primarily is the engine in that class that they market that towards.
All right, okay.
Suzuki is very, very focused about the clean water. They market that, they preach that, and we have seen a lot of those filters at service time come out, and yes, there is microplastics in there.
Yeah.
So it's good. A lot of people still throw their crap overboard, and
Oh, yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah. But this model doesn't. Whether they introduce that to it at a later date, we'll see.
Yeah, it'd be nice to do that.
Yeah.
It's a good idea, I think.
It is, yeah. AMC, we... was it last year? It's last year now, isn't it? It's 26 already. We were out with the Suzuki team, Paul Burt, who's one of their ambassadors, and I can't remember what group it was, but it's a group that work on Moreton Bay cleaning stuff up, and we cleaned up an area of Green Island. So they are very much focused about keeping the oceans clean, and we all should do that because
we want
our
definitely.
kids and grandkids to be able to use it for forever and a day and protect the what's in the water.
Yeah. Break-in procedure, is there anything significantly different about the Suzuki to other brands, or are they all fairly similar?
All fairly similar, yeah. Mercury and Suzuki slightly different. Yamaha would probably be similar as well, but it's pretty much a 10-hour break-in, and it's more so just revs increasing at certain intervals and not running it at wide open throttle for too long within that first 10 minutes. But it's pretty simple with this. It's sort of slow for 15 minutes, increase to 3,000 revs, which is about half throttle for an hour 45, just in between 0 speed and 3,000 revs. And then for the next hour it's up to 4.5, so basically vary your speed up to 4.5, and then the last 8 hours of the break-in, just avoid running it at wide open throttle for more than 5 minutes at a time. So it's pretty easy. It's just that first 3 hours, you sort of, that 3,000 revs with a lot of boats is sort of I want to go faster, I'm on the plane but I'm not on the plane. But all engines have a braking procedure.
Yeah.
Not too cumbersome.
All right, that's pretty straightforward then.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to be happy with it, Paul.
Oh, I'm sure I will.
Thing.
I just want to thank you for persevering. I know you had a few troubles interfacing it with the Furuno, but
that's all right.
You persevered beautifully and got it all working perfectly.
Thank you for your patience, mate.
No trouble.
You were keen to get on the water, and now the weather's not going to be so crash hot.
Yeah, the weather's bad for the next week, but these things happen.
You'll be right.
I'll get out after that.
Yeah.
Plenty of
times.
Yes.
Yeah. Plenty of hours to put on this one.
Yeah, certainly.
And the white engine looks great too. And
it does.
One other thing with Suzuki is it's only $200 more for a white engine. The other brands do charge a premium.
Oh yeah, they do.
Over $1,000 to get a white engine. And they look very, very smart.
Oh, I think it's worth the $200 to have that white engine there.
Yeah.
Just one other question though. How much notice do you guys need for a service to get it in?
It varies. We're always busy. We're quite a busy yard. We do a lot of servicing, obviously, on the brands we sell, but a lot of services on other brands that are out of warranty.
Yeah.
But as a general rule, at the moment, we're probably 2 to 4 weeks. I think actually we're probably 4 to 5 weeks at the moment. But,
okay.
Sometimes it's only a week. But yeah.
Okay. Well, if it's 4 to 5 weeks, that's 2 trips I need to plan ahead.
Yep. And they do give you a grace period as well.
Yeah.
So we always say stick to that, 20 hours or 2 months with the Suzuki, and then it's 12 months from the day of hand over today, or 100 hours for the first annual, and it's every year 100 hours. But they do give you a grace period, so if the weather's no good, if... No, I was still in reverse, I wonder why we're moving. If for some reason the weather's no good, or you've got that overseas holiday booked in and you're going away for 3 months, they will give you a 20-hour sort of 2-month sort of grace period as well.
Okay.
So they're quite flexible there, especially in those peak times, which seems to be all the time for us, but leading up to Christmas, a lot of people, oh, I'm going away and I need to get it serviced, you know. So they will give you that grace period with all those brands as well.
So that was the test. The engine installation passed with flying colours. And I guess that's one of the reasons why I decided to go with AMC. They have a good rep for getting things right the first time. Now, over my fishing life, which has been quite long, well, if you include when I went fishing with my father, we've had a lot of different outboards. We've had Evinrudes, we've had Mercuries, and we've had several Yamaha outboards. Quite a lot of Yamaha outboards, actually, but I've never had a Suzuki. So what made me pick Suzuki this time? There were several reasons, really, many of which I covered in the interview I did earlier in this video. And apart from the reasons that I discussed earlier, the biggest reason was that the Suzuki integrates with my Furuno equipment, giving me, among other things, spot lock on the main engine. Of course, we tested that while we were out on the water, but I'm going to do a video focusing on that in the future, so I didn't include that in this one. For now, I'll just say that the gear change while in spot lock were very smooth, unlike at least one other brand that I'm aware of. And while it doesn't provide all of the features that the other engine brand does, what it does provide comes without the $10,000 plus price tag. In fact, since I already have Furuno electronics, I get these extra features for free. And since all the major brands are much of a muchness in terms of reliability these days, the decision basically came down to price and the fact that it integrated with my electronics. And before I close off, I'd like to give a shout out to AMC. They were exceptionally good throughout the whole process. There were a few hiccups getting the electronics integrated, but they persevered and did everything necessary until they got it working perfectly. I didn't get any kickbacks or benefits or any special deals from these guys, but honestly, if you're thinking about re-engineing your boat or even buying a boat, at least have a talk to AMC before you make the final decision. Talking's cheap, and I don't think you'll regret it. Not everyone's going to be looking for a new engine or a new boat, but if you are, I hope I've given you a few things to consider and helped you to make the right choice. Until next time, good fishing.